We're starting Samach Gimel from Bais 63b. We're starting from Tanya Isi ben Yehuda Imer. So I don't know. You in 63b? Turn down towards the bottom. Turn again. Maybe one more page.
63b3. I got it.
Tanya. It's taught in a brisa. Isi ben Yehuda Imer. Isi ben Yehuda says, I forget if the Gemara says Isi ben Yehuda has other names. Was it him that it says about? Meya Oifis Tmeyim. There's 100 non-kosher birds. Yesh b'mizrach. There is in the east. Chullin min ayahin, and there are all types of ayahs.
What's east for him? Asia?
The east for him would be Asia, right?
Wow. He's in Bala, right?
Well, I'm assuming as a Tana he's in Israel. Most Tanaim are in Israel. Some of them came, but the yeshiva.
And he's always facing Israel when he's studying. His east.
He's facing. He's facing the east for him is Babylonia. Right? Okay, and there are all types of ayahs. Tani Avimi Breder Avavo. Avimi, the son of Rabavo, says, if it's the Rabavo that we're familiar with, so then it would be this Rabavo. Ah, very good.
I've been sick, so I'm good now.
For Shlema. Okay. He says, Zayin Meyes Mini Dugim Hain. There are 700 types of fish. V'ches Meyes Mini Chagavim. And there's 800 types of grasshoppers. Ula'ifes Ein Mispar. And there's an infinite amount of birds. Gemara says, Eifes Chaftaler Havid. There's only 24 birds that are not kosher. You see, the assumption here, the way we read this through, is that when it says there's 800 types of grasshoppers, they're all non-kosher. When it says there's 700 types of fish, they're all non-kosher. So to keep it symmetrical, that we're talking in the same context. We're talking about non-kosher, non-kosher, non-kosher. It should be only 24. Gemara says, "La'ifes tahirin ein mispar." There's an infinite amount of kosher birds. So we switch what we're talking about. Now, the Bach here says, he quotes a medrash. The medrash is Seif Psicha De'echa Rabasi. Over there it says that the kosher fish and the kosher grasshoppers are 700 and 800. And then the birds are infinite. However, that's a problem, because Rashi says, when it says over here, Mine Dugim, types of fish, he says Tmeim, non-kosher. It doesn't fit with. The Bach explains that Rashi was explaining the Gemara's Kasha. The Gemara's Havamina was that these are non-kosher. And the Gemara answers that the birds are kosher. According to the Bach, the Gemara is changing everything, that they're all kosher. It's a whole new pshat.
Everything's kosher.
Where are you quoting the right from? Where are you quoting the right from? Oh, 1 second. No, so that we have to wait for.
You have to wait.
Okay. Tanya, start in a brisa. Rabbi says, it's revealed. It's known in front of the one that spoke and the world came into existence. That there's more non-kosher animals than kosher animals. Therefore, the Torah enumerates the kosher ones. It's known before the one that spoke in the world came into existence that the kosher birds are more than the non-kosher. That's why the Torah says the non-kosher ones. Yeah.
Next to the Rabbi. Menachem.
My Kamash Milan. What are we seeing from this? What comes out from this? Very famous statement. Kid Rav Huna Amar Rav. It was said from Rav Huna in the name of Rav. This is very early. Rav Huna, the student of Rav. Rav Huna says in the name of Rav. What does he say? Va'amrila, and there are those that say Amar Rav Huna Amar Rav Mishum Reb Meir, that it even goes back to Reb Meir, the student of Rabbi Akiva. La'ilam Yishana Adam Talmidei Derech Ktsara. You should always teach to your student the short way. Keep it simple. It's important to say this because there are those that like to make it complicated. So the lesson here is that you say the shorter version, which is the when it comes to the animals, you say the kosher animals. When it comes to the birds, you say the non-kosher ones to keep it short. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak says, "Oiftar nechal b'maseiras." A kosher bird is taught by tradition. It's eaten by tradition. That means if we have a tradition for it, that's how you eat it. And this is what Rashi mentioned before once, that even though we have all of these signs, but we need the tradition. Neman atzayed loymar, the hunter, is trusted to say, I've said to Masali Rabbi, that my teacher gave me this bird, this kosher bird, which means that that's his tradition, and therefore he catches it and he's able to sell it as kosher.
We learned a couple of days ago that was people eat snunit. And they said, no, but they say, Eily Masora is kasher. So, does it kasher or not?
Each place has a minhag too.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember who we made a difference between a white one or
a white one
a
and
Eureka?
black one, yeah. It's snunit, it's a minorevu.
Right.
Segregation. Yes, even the Torah has segregation. Thank you, Jeff. Please write it down what Jeff said.
Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says, there's one condition here. That he has to know the names, and he has to know them, he has to recognize them, and he also has to know the names. Boy Rab Zera. Rab Zera has a question. Rabbi Chacham or Rabbi Tzayed? Who has to know these names? His teacher, his Torah teacher, or his hunter teacher? You see, the word Rav could mean a Torah teacher, but it could also mean a master of some trade that he's studied by. So if he's a hunter, it could. What's it talking about here? That someone gave him this bird. He tells him that it's kosher. So he has to know all the names of the birds, and he has to be able to recognize them. Who is this? So, if it makes sense if we say his master, the hunter, then shaper. That makes sense. How does he know what the birds look like and their names? But if we say it's this teacher, the Chacham is Torah teacher, the names, we can understand, maybe he knows all the names. Eleinu miyadalu, but how does he know them? We're talking about the hunter, the master, the hunter. Okay, I can just see this Gemara being used by, let's say, Yeshiva University or some, where they study more than just the text. So, because how is he supposed to know what it looks like if he doesn't go out to the field to see the birds? Okay.
But if you have the professor's picture
Oh, you have to,
books,
yeah.
Or if you
That was the excuse I used for 8 years to cut class at more years. Not to go out check on the birds. Actually check out the chicks.
Please, doctor.
very fine morning to you. Where did he get your letter?
Amen.
It's just like a shidduch.
So is Rav Huna's opinion accepted as halakha? It
Good
seems he's
question.
coming to contradict the statement that was just made.
Rabbi Yochanan's, that he needs to be an expert.
No, we just laid down the general principle that the Torah teaches the exception rather than the majority.
Right.
And then he comes to say, well, also, you have to have this Masorah. But we've already been taught there are 24 that are Tameh.
Oh, I see what you're
You
saying.
could leave it there, but he's coming to say, well, it's not so
I'm
simple.
just enjoying the
I see
I
what
think
you're
that's, is that what's going on here?
And I didn't learn it like that. The way I understood this was that we have teachings, and the way that we do the teachings, that's the accepted way. You always teach the shorter one. However, when it comes to eating, we need one more detail. We're not changing the way we're going to teach, but when it comes to the way we're going to, why do you need that detail? Probably because of the confusions of which bird is which and all of that.
The names, the signs.
Taner Rabbanan. It's a new discussion here. However, we're going to get back to Eily's question yesterday. Taner Rabbanan. The rabbis taught in a brisa. Leichen beitzim min oivdei kechavim. You're allowed to buy eggs from a non-Jew, b'chol makom, anywhere. Ve'in chayshim, you don't have to suspect. Leimishim nedelis. You see, if a bird could have died, and someone opened it up and took out the egg from the dead bird, and then they just put it in the thing and they sell it to you. You don't have to suspect to that. You don't have to suspect. Leimishim treifas. There's another issue. It could be that a bird became a treifa while it already has the eggs in it. And those eggs, shichlakama was called, remember those first cluster of those are treif. And so you're buying an egg, even if it's a kosher egg, but you have two concerns. Could be it was taken out of a dead bird, could be it came from a treifa. It says you don't have to worry about it. This is the brisa. The Gemara asks, 1 second, okay. But vidilma da'if taminino, but maybe it comes from a non-kosher bird. Amar Avua de Shmuel, Shmuel's father says, Shmuel is way at the beginning. His father is known as Avua de Shmuel. You see, it even says Avua de Shmuel. Avua de Shmuel, that's what he's called, the father of Shmuel. So he says, "Ba'omer shaleif plenitar." We're talking about that the person selling it to you said that it comes from such and such a non-kosher bird, such and such a kosher bird. I'm sorry. He has to tell you which bird, which kosher bird. So that's how we know that it's kosher, because we're trusting him. The Gemara says, "V'leima shaleif tar." Why does he have to tell you the name of the bird? Let him just say that it comes from a kosher bird. Gemara says, "Ihachi." If he doesn't tell you which bird, Islay lishtamute, he'll be able to. What's the word that they translate ishtamute? Deflect. He'll be able to get out of it by saying, what I meant was, I didn't realize that wasn't kosher. I thought that was kosher. You mean you don't eat ostrich? So he has to tell you the name of the bird. The Gemara says, "V'livdik b'simanim." What about the signs? Why does he have to tell you which kosher bird? You see, it set us up over here for this. First, it says the question was, how do you know it comes from a kosher bird? So we said, because he's telling you that it's kosher. So, and then the Gemara says, why does he have to tell you that it's kosher? You can know that it's kosher on its own. You'd look at the signs. There's eggs have signs that will make it kosher.
The OU on the bottom.
The Tanya was taught in a brisa. Kisimani beitzim, kach simani dagim. that the signs of eggs are the same as the signs of fish. Now, signs of fish probably is not referring to the fish eggs, because the fish eggs are all round anyway. What it's referring to is to the row of fish, to the whole cluster of the eggs. The Gemara asks, Simani Dagim. Oh, I jumped ahead a little bit. The Gemara thinks it's signs of fish before we get to the eggs. I'm sorry. Simani Dagim Salkadaitach. You think the signs of fish? Does that enter your mind that that's what the signs are the same as the signs of bird eggs? It says no. Snaper v'kaskesa samarachmana. Hashem says, the merciful one says that you have to look at the fins and scales. Elaima kach simane uvrei dagim, which is the row, the innards of the fish. Betanya gabi beitzim. It says regarding the eggs, Elohim simani beitzim. These are the signs of eggs. Kol shekaideres ve'agol golas. Anything that's round and round. Kaideres, both of them.
Like kadur.
But what Rashi points out that they both mean round, and what he wants to say is that you shouldn't think that it's round and flat. It needs to be spherical. It should be round and round, right?
What
is it?
Like a bow.
Tapered.
Oh, that's going to be the next thing. That's the next thing. But Kaideres Golgelis I'm referring to is the two expressions of round. Kader and eagle. Kader is a ball, and eagle is round. Wants to tell you that it's
oblong.
and not flat.
Like your apple.
No, I what I understood is because Rashi says that don't think that it's like a lentil,
Which is flat and round.
which is flat and round. No, it needs to have
Three dimensions.
3 dimension.
1 dimension, whatever.
And then it goes on, and here it says that Reishi Echad Kad v'Reishi Echad Chad. One of them is Kad, that's the round, like Kader, and one of them is pointed, Chad. So that's when you said tapered. That's the expression that they use there, tapered. Okay, so which means it's but it's not just oval. Rounder on one side, and then it comes pointier on the other side. Narrow on the other side. Okay. What happens if? So that type of bird, that type of egg is kosher. That's tahira. Beis Rosheh Kadin and Beis Rosheh Chadin, if both ends are round, and both ends are pointed, Tameyin, that's not kosher. Okay, now the Gemara says, Chelboin mi bachutz v'chelmoin mi bifnim. The chelboin is the white of the egg. What's the word for that? What's the word for the white? I call it the white. What is there a word?
Albumin.
Albumin. Oh, that's great. Because that's the
French.
no, that's the Hebrew.
That's the yellow. Albumin is the yellow.
No, the yolk. But the Hebrew chelbain
And
is
the
albumin. It's the same word.
I thought chelbon was
If so that's the white.
Yeah.
So chelbain, the albumin is the white. But you see it in the Hebrew. It's the same word. If you say a ches as a H or a albumin.
זה חטא והמם מתחלפים. You have חלבון, חלמון.
Oh, okay, 1 second. Yeah, no, I'm just talking about the word. I get it. Okay, so chelbain mi bachutz, if the albumin is on the outside, the white is on the outside, v'chelmoin, the yolk, mi bifnim, that's tahira, that's a kosher bird. That's the eggs that we're familiar with. Chelmoin mi bachutz. Wow, if you have the yolk on the outside, the chelbain mi bifnim, and you have the albumin on the inside, I'm not familiar with that, but I don't know. That's tmeya. And chelmain v'chelbain muravim zebazeh, if you have it mixed together, so it doesn't mean that it would be like a swirly type of thing. It could mean that it just means that it's a lighter sort of yolk instead of like a dark, a deep yellow. It could be just a pale yellow. So if it's mixed together, v'yaduashi beitzas sheretz. That's the egg of a sheretz, of a creeping creature.
שרץ זה
שרץ is like the-
זוחלים.
Yeah,
חש, תולעת, כל אלה.
Yeah, but it sounds like it's referring to those creatures that are the 8 shratzim that are tameh, like the lizard and the halata and right.
הזוחלים.
Chalmon is where they get the mayonnaise.
Jeff, that's it. You need to sit next to the rabbi. Change the chairs.
But 1 second, do they use the yolk or the white? Because the chalmon would be the yolk.
Depends if they're on a diet or
white.
not.
Yeah, white.
The mayonnaise use white.
Light.
Only the white.
Whites, yeah, yeah,
Whites.
Okay.
Jeff,
Okay.
sit back here.
The Gemara. Okay. So our question was, why do we need the salesman, the non-Jewish salesman that's selling you the egg? Why does he need to tell you that it's coming from a kosher bird? We can look at the signs. We have a Bais that tells us what the signs are. The Gemara says, "Leitricha dechatuches," talking about that it's cut. We can't see the signs. You can't see if it's round, if it's not round on one end, if it's narrow on the other. The Gemara says, well, yeah, in other words, it's cracked open. Why don't you look at the albumin and the yolk? You could figure it out from there. The Gemara says, "B'trufis b'kar." It's already scrambled. It's the Gemara says, you're allowed to buy scrambled eggs from the non-Jew. Doesn't mean that it's cooked already. That would be a problem of bishalakim. But we're talking about just raw scrambled. But it's taught in a Bais, ein meichen beitzet trufa loivet kechavim beitzet treifa loivet kechavim elen kein trufa bekara. You're not allowed to sell the egg that you took out of a bird that was a treifa. You see, if a bird has an injury that makes it a treifa, so the egg that comes out is a treifa from the first batch for sure. So you can't sell that to a non-Jew. Why? Because he may sell it back to a Jew. So what do? You can't eat it. So what you do is you scramble it, and then you sell it to him. Now, what happens then? Therefore, you're not allowed to buy eggs that are scrambled already, because those are the eggs that are getting sold out. Oh, wow. You can't buy them back. You can't work it both ways. If you're going to be able to buy scrambled eggs from a non-Jew, those are the one. Then you won't be able to sell it to him either if it's treifa. So it has to stop. Okay, so we said that you were buying scrambled eggs, and that's why he has to tell you what the name of the kosher bird that it's from. You're not allowed to buy it. Elam Rab Zera. Rab Zera says, Simanim lav daraisa. Yes, we have signs, but those signs are not of biblical origin. It's not a halacha l'moshe misinai, and therefore you can't rely on those signs. But we'll see what those signs do for us in a minute. The Eily teimahachi. If you don't say that, Eily, this is your point yesterday. If you don't say that the signs are not reliable, if you say that the signs are reliable, then Hadam Ravasi, this that the Ravasi says Shmeinu Sveika, saying that we have 8 doubts regarding birds that have doubts if they're kosher. Livdik bebeitzim didu. Why don't we just check the eggs? We'll see the signs on the eggs, and that will tell me what the mothers are, and we'll be able to figure it out. Why do we need all the signs on the birds? Those 4 signs. We'll look at the eggs, and it will go back to the birds. It must be that these signs are not of biblical origin. No, of course it doesn't say it in the Torah. What we mean, deraisa means that it's a halacha l'moshe misinai. We're saying it's not a halacha l'moshe misinai. It wasn't taught to us by Moshe. It's things that we discovered based on what we know, but it doesn't mean that you can rely on them. So then why was it taught to us if you can't rely on them? It says Hachi Kamar. This is what it means to say. Bais Roshei Akadin. If the 2 ends are round, which is a problem. Bais Roshei Akadin, or the 2 ends are narrow. If the yolk is on the outside, and the albumin is on the inside. Vaday tmeya. That's for sure tummy. Reishe chad. Chad. One head. This is a confusing one because chad means one and it also means narrow. One end is narrow. V'reishe chad kad, and one end is round. And the chelmain mi bachutz. The albumin is on the outside, the white is on the outside. V'chel main mi bifnim, and the yolk is on the inside. V'amalach shalayf plain v'taru, and he also tells you that it's tahar. Then smoich aleim, then you can rely on them. So the signs just are used as support for the person's claim. But if without the claim, if he doesn't tell you which bird it is, also that's not going to be kosher just from those signs. And if he doesn't say, then you can't rely on it. Why? Because there is a bird, the oyrev. What did we say that was? A crow?
Raven.
A raven?
Raven, crow is the same thing.
Is it?
Look, this is crow.
Okay. That's similar to the pigeon, and the egg is similar to the pigeon. Therefore, you can't rely on the sign. Now we know why it's not reliable, also because just that itself could be an issue because it could be similar to that. Do we need a hechsher on eggs?
Yes,
According to this,
absolutely.
because he has to tell you what it's from. Taisvis over here has 4 points, very interesting points. It's a big Taisvis, but Taisvis first starts off saying that the Gemara here says that we don't rely on the signs of eggs, of birds, but that doesn't mean we don't rely on the fish eggs.
Now you want to...
Then he goes on and Taisvis says, well, the caviar itself is all round. You would need to see the whole row. Right? The caviar is it's always round. You would need to see the row, because that would... Okay. The next point Taisva says...
Row is not row. Row is R-O-E.
Yeah.
Not a row.
Yeah, not with a W. This that... Taisva says, this that we buy eggs from non-Jews, even though they don't tell us, Shaloif Pliny Tahirim Haim. The reason for that is because we rely that most eggs amongst us are from kosher birds. So Taisva says it would not need a hechsher. The majority of the eggs that we're going to find are going to be from the kosher birds, the chickens or whatever. Taisva then says, he starts talking about the blood in the eggs. And he says that Meisim b'chol yom shanu oichlem beitzim megolgolis af b'shin echilm livdek. Beitzim megolgolis means hard-boiled eggs. Megolgolis, I think, means because you can spin it, right? So that's my translation. I don't know if that's the original translation. But even though you can't check it. So that means when it comes to hard-boiled eggs, he says that we're eating it even though they're not checked, the hard-boiled eggs, which I think that's the custom, that people don't check hard-boiled eggs.
Eat a whole.
Although
There's a famous note that the Rabbi used to eat the hard-boiled egg and the Seder
without checking.
Whole, yeah.
Interesting. I heard that.
You would eat the hard-boiled egg from the Seder plate without checking.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work perfectly. Yeah, I know it says that. Although I see, I have in yeshiva, Rabbi Shorf eats breakfast with us. I see he always opens the egg. He checks the hard-boiled eggs. So it's apparently there's more to it than just
And
this.
if you find the blood, so you have
Oh, that we're going to see in a minute.
Nowadays you don't have family with blood.
Look, if
The next-
if you open the egg,
We're going to see that soon.
What
The
do you
next
do?
thing
Throw
is,
away the egg?
what about
Baldy.
eggs? Taisvus in the end here discusses if you have bishalakim with eggs that are put into a mixture, because the eggs are being cooked inside whatever dish it is. and he's talking about different types of kugels that have eggs in pashtida, right?
We should make a pashtida.
So he says that it's not just the bracha that makes a difference. If I'm not making shahakal on it, or if I'm making mezainis on it, because then that's not the whole point. There's another factor there, that if the egg is visible, then that would be a concern. Even though I'm going to say it's pas because I make a mezainis on it, but if the egg would be visible, that would be a concern. That's what Tosfos seems to say over here. In other words, or you could say, well, I'm making mezainis on it, so it's not. You see, I have to say, pasakim there's leniencies for. We don't have leniencies for bishalakim. Pasakim is much more lenient. So we can say, well, there's eggs in the bread, so I can eat the bread because I rely on the leniencies of pasakim. It's paspalter. There's no other Jewish baker in town. You're allowed to buy it. It's not the aser to make shuva. So I could buy it. He says, yes, that would be the case by bread where you don't see the eggs. But if it's something that the eggs would be shakshuka type of, you see eggs, in it, that could be an issue. Okay, that's this nice Tosfos here. Back to the text. Amar Mar. Mar is re-examining a statement of Tanoim, which we said before. It was the Brisa of the signs, Vitanya Gabi Beitim, the Brisa that's quoted on the top. It says, Chel boin v'chel main muravim zebazeh. If the albumin and the yolk are mixed, b'yaduashi beitas hasheretz, then obviously it's clear that this is the egg of hasheretz. The Gemara says, L'may hilchasa. What do I need to know that for? Just if it's not kosher, then it's not kosher. So Amar Rav Ukva bar Chama. Rav Ukva bar Chama says, I believe he's the other son-in-law of Rav Chizda over here.
Was there a Mar Ukva that was a Tana?
I'm not familiar with that. But you see the Rami bar Chama? Oh, you already have it.
Who was the one who with his wife used to give the food and then they ran away? They sat in the pot.
Is that?
Yeah.
It may be.
Yeah.
It may be.
Was it Ukva or Mar Ukva? Okay, check it out.
I don't know. He says, Amar Rav Ukva bar Chama, Loimar she'im rikma, v'nikva b'kadasha, or metama b'kadasha. You got it there? So is Mar Ukva the same as Rav Ukva bar Chama?